Course Element 1, Basic Psychology. Introduction to Psychology. The scientific study of the mind and behavior is known as psychology. The Greek term psyches, which means life, and logos, which means explanation, are the roots of English word psychology. In addition to being a popular major for students, psychology is also a topic that is being a frequently talked about in the media in daily life. Psychologists are featured on television programs like Dr. PHIL, where they offer individual guidance to viewers facing personal or familial challenges. Forensic psychology forensic psychologists employ to solve crime as shown to psychological crime dramas on television like Criminal Minds, Psych, Cracked, and CSI. Additionally, a lot of people are directly aware of psychology because they have a sought at the service the aid of psychologists, including family therapists, school counselors, and counselors for marriage, grief, or spirituality. The majority of psychologists examine human and animal behavior in research labs, hospitals, and other fields settings. For example, my colleagues in the University of Maryland's Psychology Department researched a wide range of subjects including childhood anxiety, dream interpretation, the cognitive effect of caffeine, and bird dream interpretation, recognition, and the occurs of praying mantises, the varying reactions of the people from different cultures during negotiation, and the motivation behind the acts of terrorism. The psychologists of politics, prejudice, culture, and religion are among the subjects covered by other psychologists. They also examine memory, emotion, hypothesis, love, and addiction to drugs and alcohol. Psychologists also operate in organizations and schools. They employ a range of techniques such as questionnaires and observations. Psychology as a social science has evolved a lot over several years and has widespread applications in clinical field, forensic field, counseling, psychotherapy sessions for people who are distressed, research and observation for understanding certain behavior patterns and differences in personality, attitude, or perception. As per Saidev 2000, psychology analysis is a patent area of concern for the HR or management professionals as it addresses four crucial problem areas: employee motivation, interpersonal relation, leadership, and the selection of the talent pool. Psychology as a science. The science of psychology exists while most people acknowledge that astronomy, biology, and chemistry are the sciences. Are many unsure of how psychology relates to these other disciplines. It is a worldwide to consider that similarities between astronomy, biology, and chemistry before responding to this topic. Though it's obvious that this is not their topic, biologists investigate living things, chemists investigate research substance and its properties, and astronomers study celestial bodies, also not the tools and methods they employ. Few chemists would know how to track a moose population in the wild, and few biologists would know what to do with a radio, telescope. For these and additional reasons, scientists and thinkers, psychologists all rely on scientific procedure, irrespective of the disparities in their areas of expertise and interest and methodology, while psychologists, practitioners such as clinical psychotherapy, industrial, organizational, and school psychologists use the result of previous research to improve people's daily life. Research psychologists employ scientific methods to generate new understanding about the causes of behavior. Psychology as a science that is vital to scholars and practitioners alike. Historical perspective of psychology. Psychology became a distinct from philosophy when the researcher began to use scientific method to study behavior and the mental processes. By the 1920s, the field's earliest researchers had laid the foundation of the major schools of thought and psychological perspective that exists in psychology today. A school or a perspective in psychology is a particular view as to why and how it as we think, feel, and behave as we do. Psychology evolved later with many of the new additions or changes in the world because there were many labs, schools all around. Some of them are schools of structuralism, functionalism, humanism, and Gestalt. The Gestalt psychologists, notably Marx Wertheimer, Kurt Kofika, and Kohlher, emphasized that individuals perceive objects and patterns as a whole units. It was a reaction to structuralism. The first lab was established in 1869 in Leipzig, Germany. Psychology did not arise as a field unto itself until the late 1800s. However, the attempts to study human behavior have been around for many centuries. Though they were not referred to as psychology, psychological studies date back to 17th century. Psychology was not always its own discipline. When it comes to the origin of psychology, it helps to dig deeper to see how it evolved and become a modern scientific discipline it is today. Psychology has gone through multiple stages and notable development both in its approaches and measuring techniques to establish itself as an esteemed scientific discipline. The word psychology appeared in literature as early as the 16th and the 17th century. In the 16th century, a theologian named Philip Melanchthon, whom many believe was the first to mention psychology through licensed forms of the origin Greek words. Psychology is a relatively young science with its experimental roots in the 19th century, compared, for example, to human physiology, which dates much earlier. As mentioned by anyone interested in exploring issues related to centuries, two men working in the 19th century are generally credited as the being of the founders of psychology as a science and academic discipline that was distinct from philosophy. Their names were William Wundt and William James. By the middle of 19th century, philosophy and medicine were moving further and further apart. Within the gap was found psychology. Conclusion. In conclusion, psychology is as the scientific study of mind and behavior has evolved as a dynamic and an integral field of inquiry, rooted in the Greek terms psyche and logos, which significantly explain life and dwells into understanding of interesting of humans and animals behavior. Beyond being a popular academic majority, psychology permeates various aspects of daily life, media, and societal services. Psychologists contribute to popular media, offering guidance on personal and familial challenges, and their work to its portray in crime drama, counseling program, the broad spectrum of psychological research spans topics like childhood anxiety, dream interpretation, cultural differences in negotiation, and motivation behind the acts of terrorism. Psychologists contribute to popular media, offering guidance to personal familial challenges in their work is portrayed in crime drama counseling programs. The broad spectrums, cultural differences in negotiation, motivation behind the acts of terrorism. Importantly, psychology is recognized as a science ailing with different disciplines such as astronomy, biology, chemistry. While the psychologists may do scientific procedures, whether practitioners utilizing research findings to enhance daily life or researchers generating new insight, psychology stands as a science vital to both scholars and practitioners. While the practitioners utilizing research findings to enhance daily lives or researchers generating new insight in psychology stands as a science vital for both scholar and practitioners. The historical perspective highlights the evolution of psychology from its roots in philosophy to a distinct scientific discipline. The early 20th century saw establishment of major schools of thought including structuralism, functionalism, humanism, Gestalt. These were some perspectives provide diverse views on how and why individuals thinks, feels and behaves.